Happy day. Hope it's a good one for you. Tuesday, I think, if I remember right. And on this Tuesday, come on in. Spend a little time with me in my little world. Maybe you get an idea of some of the things that run through my mind through the days, and that's kind of the things that I share with you along the way, from reading, studying, or just observing what's going on and thinking about my own life and experiences there. And I hope maybe they jar something in your thinking as well. If they do, and maybe they bring to mind something that you know or something that's important to you, then I guess we've done our job. But in these little devotional thoughts, or whatever you want to call them, I hope we're relating in a good way. And I'm glad you're with me today. You know, in 1972, a group called Edward Bear out of Canada put out a little song, was popular for a short time, The Last Song. Obviously, it wasn't the last song that was ever put out. A lot of years have passed since then, and a lot of music, a lot of songs before and after. But it was an interesting little song, said it'll be the last song I'll ever write for you. Made me think when I was considering that. What's going to be your last song? What do you want to have on your lips when your time comes? Hard to imagine because we don't necessarily know when that time's coming. But what would you like for your lips to have said? I often thought, what song would you want to have been singing? If I could go out singing, wouldn't that be something? It was, I guess, at the death of my mother. Just shortly before that, I wasn't there. But I guess my sisters and my father were singing a song. And before she passed away, not too long before she passed away, she told my father not to sing so loud. Anyway, it's kind of funny now. It kind of hurt back then, but it's kind of funny now, isn't it? Or there could be the time my father was in the hospital and we were singing in the hospital room and the nurse came and closed the door because we were bothering the other patients. Well, that may tell more about our singing than anything else. But what would you want to be your last song? I don't know that we've got a last song in Scripture. It tells of Jesus and his disciples that they sung a hymn and went out on that last Passover meal that they shared together. We don't know exactly what it was. Usually at the end of the Passover, it was one of those psalms that we count at the very end of the book, kind of a praise psalm, a praise of God. That's a good way to go, isn't it? A good praise psalm towards God. If you're thinking about family, maybe you're thinking about a love song, something that was precious to you and your wife or your husband or whoever it might have been. You might think about one of those. Every now and then my wife will remember one of those that when I was young and thought I could sing a song, I would kind of whisper in her ear and sing along. Boy, I was a romantic back then. Good days. The heart's still there. The voice is not what it used to be. But then I think about those last words. You know, it tells us in 2 Samuel 23 that we have the last words of David. I don't know whether they were literally the last words on his lips, but it just simply says, these are the last words of David. And it refers to him as the anointed of God of Jacob, the sweet psalmist of Israel. His words are of praise of God and what God has done for and lifted up his family, his kingdom. And the opposition to that is seen in a very detrimental light. Praising God for what he's done and how he would stand against those against him. Those are good thoughts. Very end of life. It tells it the life of Jacob as he gathered his sons together, gave them their blessings, as you might call it, at the end of life. And then it just says basically curled his feet up into his bed and passed away. I don't know that it was that instantaneous, but what do you want to be remembered at the very end? Don't know that we have all control over it, but it's a good thought nonetheless. Maybe there's a song you'd like to have before you go. Several years ago, one of the ladies of the Drexel congregation knew her time was coming, and she was planning her funeral. Her daughter called me and said, "Would you come by the house? Mom wants to visit with you." And I went by the house. What she wanted to do was go over the things that would be in her funeral. And she wanted to know what songs would be sung. And I said, "Well, what songs do you want sung?" "Well, let's go over some." And so her daughter and I sat there and sang over a few songs for her. She passed away shortly after that. I don't think it was because of our singing, but the thoughts of those songs were on her mind. There are obviously songs that are important to us, whether they're church songs like "Jesus, Keep Me Near the Cross, There, a Precious Fountain." That's one of my life songs. I've often loved Bob Seger's song "Running Against the Wind" as a story of life. There are a lot of things in it that I think relate to a lot of people. Obviously, it's been on the radio a long time, or people have been listening to it for a long time now. There are other songs that stand out. Frank Sinatra was noted for "My Way." And other singers have had their particular songs, of course, that have stood out. But what about you? What song do you want remembered? What song would be on your lips at the end of your life? Maybe it'd be Sonny and Cher's. Maybe my wife will be sitting there next to me and say, "Got you, babe." Probably not. I don't know what things will be. I don't know what words would be there. But I think it's something for us to think about a little bit and remember. For it is our life that they will remember, but there's something special about those final things. I had an uncle who was dying of lung cancer. He was a heavy, heavy smoker. He was dying of lung cancer, and as it drew near the end, he gathered his 4 children into the room with him around the bed and made them swear that they would never take up smoking. Don't know that they followed through necessarily. In fact, I know they didn't. But he wanted them to hear those words, and I think they would remember them even today. It's important. Think about how we're going to conclude if we have any thoughts to share. And make sure you share them the best you can. No doubt we need to share all along the way, but the last words may well be remembered. The last song I'll ever sing for you. Don't be morbid about it. Think about how it lasts. There we go. It's a good day. Hope it's one that's a blessing to you and that you enjoy in a great way. We'll look forward to sharing more things as we get a little further down the road.